In part 2 of our visit to Carol Osborne's wildlife home, we look around the plot where we learn more about plant management and growth. Elvis talks about tree management.
Okay, here on this plant, on this tree, we have this vine, which is an invasive vine. It is called the golden pothos, right? It's a parasite, so it strangles, whatever it goes on, it strangles them, and eventually the plant will die. And you can see it's all over this gut side, right? Almost every plant have on one of these vines. Like I say, it's a parasitic vine, and we just need to control it. And the best way, once we remove it, we have to burn it, because once it drops on the ground, it takes off again. It's very hard, very easy to propagate, basically. So we have to burn them, right? It grows from stem cuttings, basically, right? Everywhere along the ground, it shows roots. So you touch the ground, roots. So you have to burn it in order to control it, basically. As you can, this was a big fruit tree, and it's dead now. Yes. Welcome. Right. Here is a Spanish oak tree. This is one of our native trees. And this is what we're encouraging some of our adopters to grow, right? So this tree is going to remain right here. We're not going to take it out. The most we could do with this is maybe prune it up a little bit, cut it back a little bit to manage it, basically. Because as it's getting bigger and bigger, out of control. So we want to bring it back down to size, basically. But we're not going to take it out, all right? You also have some of the same vine. We're going to also try to remove the vine as well from it, so it could be a healthy plant, basically. In between our mahogany trees here, we have a mango tree, right? Mango tree is an invasive species, but again, it's a very delicious fruit, right? So we're not encouraging our adopters to get rid of their mango tree. We just need to tell them how to manage their mango trees, right? After every season when they bear, you just prune them back, basically, cut off the tops, cut off some of the side branches, bring it back down to size, because they only produce fruits on new shoots, basically, right? New flushes, right? Also, our national bird, the Montserrat Oreo, also love the fruits. Also next to the mango tree here, we have a gum tree, right? It's also a native plant. So we are encouraging some of the adopters to also to preserve or grow some of these gum trees as well, right? It can get very tall as well, so you're gonna have to, like I said, manage your trees them, right? Prune them regular. Have a nice canopy, but prune them back down to size.
Ajame explains the importance of vegetation on the sides of the guts.
So when adopters have lands that are bordering waterways, it's always good for them to include riparian vegetation into their plans of their land. That's really good for the river in that it helps to protect the banks of the river from erosion during heavy rainfall, and also it helps to introduce leaf litter into the rivers so that different organisms that live in rivers are able to feed on these leaf litters like shrimp and so on. And that helps with the river continuum concept, because what happens upstream affects downstream with other people's lands and so on. So it's always good to protect the rivers and the banks of the rivers with large trees and shrubs that would always stabilize the banks.
Yeah, and any particular trees or shrubs that you would be suggesting people plant?
Well, native trees are always good, because what happens as well is that if it's invasives, they could actually use the stream to transport themselves downriver, and then they could start colonizing other areas. So it's always good to keep natives around the river stream as well. So yeah, that's about it.
And the Montserrat National Trust would be able to advise anybody about the kinds of plants they should be looking to put in?
Yes.
And I guess the Department of Environment as well, and the Department of Agriculture. You've got all these specialists who can do this.
Yeah. It's always good to get, well, some larger trees are better because of the shading and the fact that you need different microhabitats for the borders of waterways, because that helps for different microorganisms that live in waterways, like the dragonfly nymphs and mayfly nymphs and so on. And also, you want to always continue thinking about not making sure that when you're doing any construction near rivers, these plants help to protect dust from entering the rivers, which prevents the water from being clear and different things from allowing themselves to grow inside the river as well.
Antoine explains about composting.
So, as you can see here, we have some dry leaves and sticks. we can use these for compost for your plants and so on. So basically we have the chickens to help us to make the process faster, or once it reach a certain like soil texture, the earthworms can also help us during the process and so on. And then once that process is finished, you can use it for whatever plants you want, and basically a healthier soil texture for our plants and so on.
Yeah, I guess that compost is really important here when so many of the areas have been affected by the volcanic ash.
Right.
I think not too bad here, but I guess everywhere is a bit of a problem.